We will need sanctions, we will need united political support, and we will need more weapons to defend us and actually push them back. If it is all together comes, that would be great. We see good words, and this is a total change of mood, at least in the Trump's administration. If you compare to what happened in the last February, we see the 180 degrees turn. This is good. What we are missing is the actions.
President Zelenskyy of Ukraine has told the United Nations today that Vladimir Putin will drive his war of aggression wider and deeper unless he's halted. Addressing the UN General Assembly, he called for more weapons from allies and more action to deter Russia.
We must use everything we have together to force the aggressor to stop. And only then do we have a real chance that this arms race will not end in catastrophe for all of us. If it takes weapons to do it, if it takes pressure on Russia, then it must be done. And it must be done now. Otherwise, Putin will keep driving the war forward wider and deeper. And we told you before, Ukraine is only the first.
That is Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. He was speaking after Donald Trump last night said Ukraine could win all of its land back from Russia, but offered no extra US help. Let's discuss with Vadym Prystaiko, who is a former Ukrainian foreign minister and ambassador to the UK and EU. Vadym, a warm welcome. Thank you for being with us. I wonder what you made of the comments of Volodymyr Zelenskyy there. He was stronger and more plain with his warning, wasn't he, today?
Yes, I guess the message was quite simple and right. He was referring to the Budapest Memorandum, which, as you remember, was our sort of guarantee for our independence and sovereignty when we laid down the third biggest nuclear arsenal when Soviet Union collapsed and we had it on our territory. So we've been promised to be defended and protected. Among those ones who promised and gave their guarantees was actually Russia as well, but that's totally different case. So President Zelenskyy was addressing all the other 5 members of Security Council, reminding them that we've been already fighting for 3.5 years. And so far we managed to stop them, but they're still pushing, Russian forces still pushing inside our territory. And he was referring to something which would been described as the division of Czech Republic before the Second World War, when the people and the nations couldn't find the strength and political will to defend the nation, but decided to pacify the aggressor, and we all remember how it ended up.
Yes, look, the comment from Zelenskyy, his speech comes a day after, well, what looks to be a major shift in approach by the US President Donald Trump, saying that Ukraine could win back all of its land from Russia. How much do you think was Volodymyr Zelenskyy genuinely buoyed by what Donald Trump had to say?
Obviously, Ukrainians were quite restored their happy sort of expectations of how the war can end up. We lost to Russian aggression around 20+% of our territory by now. Don't forget that Ukraine is still the biggest nation by the territory in Europe, if we're not including Russia in this. So to free it all up, and what we will need, the President Zelenskyy made it clear, we will need sanctions, we will need united political support, and we will need more weapons to defend us and actually push them back. If it is all together comes, that would be great. We see good words, and this is a total change of mood, at least in the Trump's administration. If you compare to what happened in the last February, we see the 180 degrees turn. This is good. What we are missing is the actions.
Yeah, how much should Volodymyr Zelenskyy take Donald Trump at his word? I mean, Trump hasn't actually offered any support. He's just appeared to change his position. But does Volodymyr Zelenskyy buy into that wholeheartedly? Does he performatively, nod to Donald Trump and thank him for his kind words and his change in approach, but privately remain pretty reserved on sort of, how much in actuality Donald Trump's going to back up his new position?
No, I guess that President Zelenskyy, over the 7 years of he's been in the post, he learned tricks of so-called diplomacy as well. And as many leaders, and as a king did, and the Prime Minister of UK did, very politely, but straightforwardly explaining Trump what is actually happening in this part of the globe and why it is important for United States, not for Ukraine or Europe. And it seems like these messages are finally getting to Trump and to his entourage. He was recognizing that Ukraine conflict seemed to be at the easiest to resolve and took the most. Something we here in Europe knew all time along, but just were waiting and helping Ukraine to survive all this long time until United States will get to census. And many my friends in the UK were reminding me that it took the United States almost even more than 3 years to come to assist the UK in a war against Nazism. So we are about the time when the United States have to wake up and actually start doing. And Zelenskyy is doing what the president has to do. He is just talking to the president, praising where it's necessary and driving him in the direction we need.
I wonder if there was a dig at the UN here when he said only friends and weapons and not international laws can protect countries.
Yeah, this is the dissatisfaction, but don't forget that UN been criticized for not being effective and active all years around. And history tells us that each and every major catastrophe, major crisis is sort of giving birth to some sort of understanding of international efforts to be united in promoting peace. League of Nations, now UN, and it seems like by this time of possible, probable, I don't know, hopefully not, the war which is coming wider than Ukraine. The mechanism which we call UN now is not effective, and it's now quite obvious for everybody, not Ukraine only.
Yeah. What is the situation with what Ukraine needs? What is the genuine, you might have seen a reversal in approach here from Donald Trump. That is more to do with him feeling let down by Vladimir Putin, who's offered him false assurances. Maybe Trump realises that the Alaska summit was, to all intents and purposes, a bit of a sham, really, from that point of view. What is the true situation here of how Ukraine is coping on the battlefield, on the front lines?
It's not really a great secret that we have much smaller mobilization resource than Russians. We are a smaller nation, 3 times smaller than Russians. So we have to keep our people, safe and be very mindful of how we use our soldiers. What we also need is the anti-air. They're bombarding us each and every day with missiles and drones. And I know how NATO is in shock that 10 drones cross the border with Poland. Listen, we have 800 of these drones and missiles from day to day. So that's different scale, different league of danger. And we have to tell you that our economy is shrinking because of the half of us already had to escape in Europe, and we're always thankful for nations allowing our people to stay in safety and live their lives there. But economy is suffering. We also need the financial support.
Yeah. Do Ukrainians feel, as Zelenskyy suggested today, that Moldova could be next?
Yeah, it's even a smaller nation, 5 million people. And if you compare to what happened in Georgia, when Georgia, under the pressure of war with Russia, short, but they got the message, and then they allowed the political forces to come to power, which told their own people that we cannot survive, we will not survive next time this clash with Russia. So we have to find a way toward them. And it happened that they're now sort of part of Russia. They cancelled all whatever they were planning, all the European and NATO integration, everything. So I guess that what Russians would do, if I were Russian, I'm not, but if I were Putin, I would push another small nation just to prove the point and to show their own people that he is successful, because with Ukraine, you can hardly call it a successful war.
Look, thank you for speaking to us. Appreciate it. Vadym Prystaiko, the former Ukrainian foreign minister. Good to speak to you. Thank you.